welcome to Taking Care of Business. Extremely happy to have you here with us. As I was saying before we hit record, I think that you're an absolute trailblazer in this scene. You have got so much background knowledge before even kind of like coming into the supplement space. And I know that you have a great kind of like holistic approach to well-being. I'll just introduce you because I want the audience to kind of like know your credentials as well. So you are a independent and certified supplement specialist and qualified naturopathic nutritionist.
Yes.
You spent 5 years in pharmaceuticals, and following those 5 years, you moved into the natural health industry. And since 2013, which is, God, how many years ago now?
9 years? No, not 9 years, 13 years.
13 years, you're combining your knowledge of science and supplements to help people reconnect with health and step into the best version of themselves, which I mean is just so important. And you are a firm believer that self-care is a destination, isn't a destination, sorry, it's a journey.
Yes.
So yeah, incredibly happy to have you on the show. Now, before we kind of like get into how supplements and kind of real health care can help people achieve professional and personal success, I would love to ask you, because it's something that I am a little bit skeptical about, I suppose, when it comes to supplements. You know, you can go into Holland and Barrett and there'll just be walls full of, not just Holland and Barrett, I might add. And it's mindful because you don't know what you're taking in terms of, you know, what the supplement is actually doing, because unless you're clued up on it, like, who actually knows? And second of all, a lot of these tablets, the first ingredient is some kind of filler, so you really don't know what you're taking. So my first and opening question, I suppose, is, in a global market valued at over $203 billion, what makes Kate Living Supplements a brand people can trust for high quality and effective products?
Yeah, I love this question. So I think what differentiates Kate Living to a lot of the brands is, first of all, Kate Living is a brand, but what we are a trusted independent voice for recommending supplements, because although we are a brand, we're not a brand of supplements. What I wanted to curate was a trusted platform where myself, with my pharmaceutical background, functional medicine, and actually being a supplements formulator, has gone out and used the science to select products based on therapeutic dose, nutrient quality. And we've actually, I think one of our biggest USPs on the website is how I've curated bundles based on the science. For example, the Woman of Wellness, which is, I believe, again, based on the science, it's the fundamental 5 nutrients every woman should be taking, because an analogy I often use is vitamins and minerals work like an orchestra in the body. And it's understanding that there are certain vitamins, for example, you can't activate vitamin D without magnesium. So it's understanding that there's certain vitamins and minerals we need to curate together. And that's exactly what we've done with the bundles on the website. We've not just selected the best quality products, we've put them together in protocols for you, because we are a results-driven business. We are not there to sell bottles. We are there to get results for our clients. And that's why we're a very transparent business as well. And the reason I actually set up Kate Living Supplements 5 years ago was seeing the confusion, the misleading marketing, the overwhelm in the supplements industry. But on the flip side, in my functional medicine experience, also seeing that when supplements are taken correctly, they have profound benefits for people's health. So I really wanted to guide people on not just the best quality products, but how to pair them and curate them together to get those optimal results and safe results as well. And I think that is really what sets us apart. I don't see a lot of other brands out there really guiding and advising customers, not just on the best quality products, but how to take them. And I want clients to understand that, because I want the client to feel empowered. Very much when I worked in pharmaceuticals, I see how disempowered patients would be, because they're kind of given a prescription, told to go away and just take that tablet, and not really not working with the body, not getting to the root cause, and not even understanding why they're taking that medication. So that's where my events, my masterclasses are a huge part of the brand as well, because we don't want to confuse or mislead people. We want people to feel really understood and empowered around their health.
I think that's so fantastic, and I'll tell you why. Because you're providing this bundled for people to take, knowing that these are things that people are deficient in, and you're offering people masterclasses to understand what they need to take before I think they need to take it. So you're kind of like treating them to the point where they're going to the doctors for them to prescribe, a bunch of medicine that perhaps they don't want to be taking for the rest of their life. But as I said, like, you're jumping that gun and giving people masterclasses. I know you do one-on-one consultations, and really understanding what it is they need. Because I do sometimes think to myself, I'm feeling a bit rubbish. It could be this, this, and this. But I don't know what it is I need to take in order to feel better. So I can really see the value that you are.
Yes, and it's understanding as well, like how phenomenal, and I don't use that word lightly, the human body is when it's supported correctly. We break a bone, God forbid, and we see the bone literally repair itself before us, or we get a cut. And I think so many of us are misunderstood around how to support the body. So it's very much like when we're trying to improve our health, it feels like we're trying to swim against the tide, or like running mud. But actually, when we know how to support the body correctly, and I've had some incredible testimonials and results with clients when, we do support the body correctly with the right nutrients, literal miracles can happen. And I think, again, when we go down the medication route, and there is a time and a place for that sometimes, but I think a lot of us are jumping on medication assuming the body isn't capable of healing itself, when actually it is. Yeah.
So you mentioned like miracles can happen when you're taking the right supplements. What about people who are taking supplements and they're not really quite sure they're not quite sure if anything is actually happening? Does that happen as well?
Yeah, I mean, so and I just was saying sometimes, the most common symptoms I deal with is poor sleep, fatigue, imbalanced hormones, and sometimes, like, when we take supplements, obviously in the right dose and form, we'll see an improvement in those. Someone like myself, who, touch wood, is in consistently good health, that doesn't mean I then stop taking my supplements. My supplements have got me and are maintaining me. It's a term called homeostasis. And basically homeostasis just means, balance and general good health in the body. And it's keeping me at homeostasis. And that's understanding with supplements. They're not just there to cure or fix, they are there to maintain the body as well. And it is those, there are key, the fundamental five, which are in the woman of wellness, like, there are key nutrients I witnessed in my pharmaceutical career and then moving into functional medicine that are at the root cause of so many ailments, from acute issues in the body, which, as we know, can then lead to chronic issues in the body as well. And it's actually understanding that every acute and chronic illness, from the common cold to cancers, is the root cause, that the start of that common cold or that chronic disease is a bit of a mineral deficiency in the body, and how that becomes a domino effect over months, years, decades then, and it can manifest as something much more serious. So for me, implementing daily with my fundamental supplements is not just about Kate today having good energy and quality sleep. It's Kate in 10, 15, 20 years time being in really good health as well. And that's why at my events, I often take people on a future self meditation, and I get you to meet your 60, 70, 80-year-old self, because that's going to happen one day, and it's about investing in her now, because we live in a world of instant gratification, don't we? And I'm here for it. We all want good hair and nice skin, but it's understanding that, prevention rather than cure is always the best approach. So I think that's like a mindset, and seeing it as an investment, not a cost. The return on investment that you get from good health is 1,000-fold. I really don't see, when you're investing in money correctly, that is, to me, just isn't even a cost. It's, you know, it's made me show up in my work, my friendships, my everyday life so much more stronger when I've got that ultimate foundation of good health.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I spend, it looks like, from my bank balance, all of my money in Waitrose, and I try to buy nice organic fresh food.
Yes.
And this might be too much information, but I was having my laser hair removal done on my legs yesterday, and the therapist, she was like, "Oh, you clearly eat really well and like take after yourself, because I can tell from your skin and from like with your hair follicles." I was like, "Thank God, I'm spending all my money and it is on food and it is paying off."
Exactly. Your body will tell you. You know, I remember one of my favourite tutors when I was doing naturopathic nutrition, and she did this to me once. She said, "Kate, what makes these grow, as in your eyelashes?" She was like, "Everything you put in your mouth, from your eyelashes to your heart function, none of that functions on thin air. It functions from the nutrients that go into the body." And obviously the ultimate foundation of that is eating the best quality food we can, and then filling in those nutritional voids, because of the modern world we're living in, with good quality supplementation.
As you mentioned that whole eyelashes thing, I know that you do a fantastic like hair and nail bundle as well, and that's how actually your name was first introduced to me.
Oh wow!
My niece started taking them, and after a couple of months, her hair was just so thick and so long. I was like, I need some of that. And yeah, she directed me to your Instagram, and that's, as I said, that's how you were introduced to me. So you can clearly see like what you take. It really does help our eyelashes, hair, all that kind of stuff.
And you've made a really valuable point there. So we're seeing a bit of a pandemic in the health industry at the moment of men and women, but obviously predominantly women, having thinning hair loss, hair issues. And the reason we're seeing this like pandemic of hair issues, if you will, is that the human body's number one mechanism is survival. That's all your body, 24 hours, it's here to keep you alive. So if we're not taking in enough nutrients, what the body will go into survival mode. It'll hold on to those nutrients to keep your heart beating, your brain functioning, and switch off nutrients going to the hair follicle, because we don't need hair to be alive. Do you know what I mean? We don't want to be bald, but that's how clever the human body is. So when we start seeing things like healthy hair growth, strong nails, it's indicative that the body's in a really good state of homeostasis, because it's got plentiful nutrients, not just to keep our heart strong and our lungs working, but to stimulate non-survival mechanisms in the body, which one of which is hair growth. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So talking about like holistic take on health, the supplements, I believe, and I think we can, well, whether I believe it or not, I really think like it's fact. This kind of like holistic view on personal health and care really does set the foundation for a professional career, right? I suppose this is what this podcast is all about: taking care of business, whether that be professional and personal, however it is that you take care of business. So setting so I really do believe that this sets the foundation, talking professionally, to win business and to manage stress that inevitably comes along with being in a high impact stressful career. Which in turn leads to professional success, and in turn, I think, personal success, because if you are healthy and you're killing it at work, I just think that has a knock-on effect of your personal life as well. And I suppose vice versa, because if you're taking supplements for personal kind of like from a personal health reason, you're bound to do well in your professional career, like just has a knock-on effect. So in terms of like performance under pressure at work, many professionals sacrifice sleep to meet deadlines or to win deals. From a holistic health perspective, what strategies for what strategies can help maintain mental clarity and decision making when sleep is compromised?
That's a really, really great question. And this is really good for me. Like when I travel, when I go, like I do events in Dubai and I'll get there and I can have like 4 or 5 days of events. And it's how can we bring in key nutrients, often called like nootropics as well, that will keep the brain focused, and especially when it's been on a long flight, or it's not just quantity of sleep. A lot of people when they're working under stress will lack quality of sleep as well, and it's understanding some key nutrients that we can bring in that are incredible for brain focus. So the fundamental, I think it's a buzzword on social media platforms, rightly so, is magnesium. We need to regulate and support the nervous system, and that is really linked into cognitive function. We know we're a stressed nervous system, we'll get brain fog, we'll have decision fatigue, the creativity literally shuts down. So getting that ultimate foundation in of magnesium is a key nutrient. And then I nootropic I'm using with high performing individuals with huge success and incredible feedback is a medicinal mushroom known as lion's mane. Now, even under stressful situations, lack of sleep, lion's mane really supports the body. I've been using it a lot with clients struggling with ADHD as well. It really helps the brain feel like focused, productive, motivated. And what I love about lion's mane is if I'm teaching a late night masterclass, it gives me that focus and that clarity, but it's not a stimulant. So afterwards, I can sleep perfectly fine without taking something that stimulates the brain, but then I'm overstimulated, so then when I want to rest, I can't actually shut off. So magnesium always is the foundation. Then I would bring in lion's mane, medicinal mushroom. Another amino acid I use with high-performing individuals, and they love it because similar to lion's mane, it doesn't need to build up in the body. You take the capsule, and within 30 minutes, you're going to see the effects. It's called L-theanine. I don't know if this is an amino acid you've heard of before. There's high amounts of it in green tea, which is why Buddhist monks will drink green tea before they meditate, because there's a high L-theanine content in green tea, and that's an amino acid that releases calming alpha waves in the brain. So for Buddhist monks going to meditate, it keeps them in that meditative state. But for high-performing individuals, it gives them that ultimate brain clarity. If I've got any clients doing public speaking, it's an incredible one. You're not going to get that freeze on stage. So the effect of the alpha waves in the brain keeps your brain, your focus ticking over, again, without stimulating the brain in any way. I actually sometimes use L-theanine for people even who can't sleep in an evening because they've got an overactive mind. It doesn't sedate the mind, it just calms down the mind with those alpha waves. And how I find this so powerful is when I'm working with like CEOs, like saying high-performing individuals, your presence in a room is so much more impactful when you're speaking from like a calm, focused energy. You're not hurrying your words out your mouth, and that's really, just think of the energy of a Buddhist monk, but like that's the energy of L-theanine. I say it really gives you that real calm clarity of mind, and the beauty is, like I say, you don't need to take it for a week. Like magnesium as an example, that's going to build up in the system. Something like L-theanine will work within 30 minutes. And when I pair that with lion's mane, people find they have that real clarity of mind, creativity comes in, and focus. So really, really powerful for in business.
It's just kind of mind-blowing how taking these supplements is like a combination can really just turn you into a superhuman.
Literally this, yeah. And this is what the empowerment piece comes from as well. Lion's mane, the one I work with, it's organic, it's diamond grade, it's food state. And I'd say L-theanine, we can get it from green tea, but a lot of brands will just encapsulate the amino acid L-theanine. And some brands even pair it with lemon balm. When you pair L-theanine with lemon balm in the same formula, lemon balm extends the calming effects of the L-theanine alpha waves. So basically you just get a longer effect from the formula. But yeah, I even use them with people who, I had once a lady who was petrified of the dentist. So I would get her to take theanine before she went to the dentist because it calms you down without sedating you.
Okay.
And fear of flying, good for people who are scared of flying as well.
Oh, then I need some of that. So are those the kind of supplements that you would also advise for people who are stressed in general?
Yeah, I think what we've got to understand with stress is getting that foundation in place. So my signature method to supplementation I teach clients when they work with me is a 3-tiered approach. So we have the foundation, which I call the fundamental 5. Then second to that, I bring in personalized supplements like specific for the individual. And the third tier can be seasonal. So in winter, it might be more immune support. In summer, it might be stress support, because especially with parents with children off school, etc. So to go back to your question, if people are stressed, the root cause of that is we're going to get a dysregulated nervous system. So we need to bring in 2 key nutrients, which are part of the fundamental 5, to support that nervous system. And that will be 400 milligram dose minimum of magnesium glycinate daily, and also omega-3 essential fatty acid. Omega-3 has more data than any other nutrient for regulating cortisol in the body, and also the inflammatory response that cortisol can have in the body. So those are your 2 fundamental nutrients. But what I do like to bring in with clients dealing with burnout, stress, poor sleep is an adaptogenic called ashwagandha.
Oh, yeah.
Now, like all supplements, ashwagandha is a very generic term, because what form and dose of ashwagandha one brand might use is very different to another. I work with what is known as the world's leading ashwagandha. It's called bio-Shodan ashwagandha. It has more clinical data than any other ashwagandha supplement you can purchase. And how that adaptogenic is so clever is when it regulates cortisol balance in the body. So most people, when they get stressed, they get a symptom called wired tired syndrome. Yeah. And what that means is cortisol's the wrong way around in the body. So in an ideal world, cortisol starts naturally raising in the morning. So we wake up before our alarms, we're ready and we're focused for the day. And in the evening, it begins to drop. So we begin to get tired, around 7, 8, 9 p.m. and we go and have a blissful night's sleep. For people who have been under stress for a prolonged period of time, they will get regulated cortisol. So what will happen in the morning, they're not releasing cortisol. So the alarm's going off, they're hitting snooze, they feel exhausted, they're really struggling to get up out of bed in the morning. They're fatigued all day, fantasizing about getting in bed later on and how good that's going to feel. And then in the evening, cortisol starts peaking instead of dropping, and we get wired. Suddenly we want to be doom scrolling on our phone. We're thinking of things to do, and it's because cortisol's the wrong way round. So obviously magnesium and omega help regulate that cortisol imbalance, but ashwagandha, being an adaptogenic, is shown to really support the adrenal glands, which are what secrete cortisol, and help regulate cortisol in the body. So it starts raising in the morning and dropping of an evening. And this is a really good adaptogenic, not just to take in the morning to make us alert and energized for the day, but to take in the evening to lower cortisol before we sleep. Because we've got so obsessed about the quality of sleep. Women have been misled, it's 7 to 8 hours. Men, it's 7 to 8 hours. Women, it's 8 to 9 hours each evening. But also it's the quality of your sleep. And I remember when I was in my pharmaceutical career, which was a very, very demanding role, I was driving over 1,000 miles a week alone on top of a job with a lot of deadlines and pressure. And I would have 9, 10 hours sleep at the weekend and still be exhausted. And I had some testing done, and they found that when I was sleeping, my cortisol was still high in my bloodstream. So though I was sleeping, I wasn't dropping into that deep quality sleep. So what I do with high performing individuals is I put them on ashwagandha not just in the morning, but also before they go to bed at night, because it'll drop them alongside connect with magnesium into a really deep quality sleep. And feedback I'll often get within a couple of weeks is, hey, I'm actually waking up like feeling good, like I can get up for the day. I'm not hitting the snooze button or dragging myself out of bed. And this is where bringing adaptogenics like ashwagandha at stressful periods of our life can be really beneficial.
I think that the whole stress management is such an important point to raise. Just speaking for myself, I know that I think that it's quite well known that stress is a big killer, right? Of
course it is, yeah.
So many people. And yeah, just me personally, I suppose I have a very, some could say stressful job. I'm not a stressful person. I'm quite calm and I manage stuff. I work really long hours, sometimes until 3 o'clock in the morning. And my body my body shows the signs, first of all, because like, I'm just really echoing what you just said. I get very fatigued, like I'm a bit wired and tired. So I think that, having these supplements to help battle those symptoms is just such a great, I don't know if I want to call it a crutch, because it's such a foundation in order to live your life. Because I'm not going to stop working those hours, and I'm not going to change careers, and so knowing that there is something that you can do to help manage those symptoms and to be a stronger and more reliable person, I suppose, for yourself, and a happier person, that's just very reassuring to know. And
there's a really good point to make here, and it's something that I teach a lot of my clients, that where supplementation of certain nutrients is so important, because we are putting pressures on the nervous system that ideally the human body was never meant to deal with. Even something as such as having constantly on our phones, we're constantly stimulating the nervous system. So what happens is a lot of people are stuck in the magnesium stress depletion cycle. And what this is, it's almost like a hamster wheel that's going on in the body. And when the body is magnesium deficient, now around 85% of the global population are thought to be deficient in this key mineral. 2 reasons we're deficient in it. It's not in our food chain anymore. It's not in our soils. So it's not in our carrots, our potatoes that are grown from those soils. Because if it's not in the soils, it can't be in the fruit and vegetables that are birthed from those soils. And it's also not in our tap water anymore. There's magnesium actually isn't a lot of bottled waters are actually really low in minerals, even though they've not got toxins in them, so to speak. They've got a really low mineral count. So what's happening is most of us, 8% of us, are deficient in magnesium. Magnesium, I mentioned the orchestra earlier. Magnesium is the conductor of the orchestra. If you take magnesium out of the body like it's deficient, the rest of the orchestra, vitamin D, vitamin B, vitamin C, cannot perform adequately. And this is where we can end up getting this domino effect in the body when the miracle mineral, magnesium, because it really is the conductor of the orchestra, is deficient in the body. So when that's deficient, it puts stress on the body. When the body is in a state of stress, we urinate magnesium out. So we're deficient in magnesium, we pass magnesium, which makes us further deficient in magnesium, which puts further stress on the body, which makes us deplete magnesium. So we're in this perpetuating loop of magnesium and stress, the magnesium depletion and stress cycle. The only way to tap out of that perpetuating loop is to supplement with a minimum of 400 milligrams of magnesium daily. And when you do that, when you start filling in that nutritional void, it has such a powerful catalyst effect in the body, because now vitamin D can be activated. Now vitamin B is getting in the cell with magnesium to produce energy. And it's understanding that there's 2 things at play here. We've not got enough magnesium in our food chain. And second to that, we're putting a stress load on the body that the human body was never meant to deal with. So that's also depleting the body of magnesium. So arguably, even if we were eating enough magnesium, because we're exerting too much stress on the body, we'd still need to supplement with magnesium. Does that make sense? So it's like this compound effect on the body that key nutrients like magnesium, to me, taking a magnesium supplement daily is like brushing your teeth. You don't have to brush your teeth. Just let your teeth fall out or rot in time if you want. And similar, if you don't take your magnesium, people buy toothpaste and would never go, and I get it, like we are in a cost of living crisis at the moment, but I think there's very few and far between people that don't buy toothpaste. And magnesium, to me, supplementation should be seen as crucial as buying your monthly tube of toothpaste, because just like that's keeping your teeth healthy, we need magnesium to support your central nervous system. And as you rightly said, stress is one of the biggest killers these days. And I know from my pharmaceutical career that a lot of people, God bless them, with chronic illnesses, it's come from living a prolonged period of stress and not supporting the body correctly.
Wow, that's that. So it's clear that people need to supplement with magnesium. You spoke about it not being in the foods anymore, which I think is so sad. So how can busy professionals optimize their diet to sustain energy and focus during long work days? especially when time for meal prepping is limited?
Brilliant question. And this is something I coach my one-to-one clients through. So an example I use is I live in London. So if I was to drive to Scotland today, I would not set off in my car with an empty tank of petrol. I would fill that tank up. And it's understanding that tank, our body needs certain minerals, fuel, to function properly. The first one is minerals. So magnesium is probably like the main one, but sodium, potassium. So there's a drink, sometimes people are familiar with, called the adrenal cocktail, which is coconut water, a good quality, not processed, a good quality coconut water has a lot of the minerals in it that we typically burn through when we're stressed. And the adrenal cocktail is coconut water with orange juice, because we also burn through vitamin C when we're stressed as well, and the adrenal glands really need vitamin C. And I also get clients to put in like 1 or 2 teaspoons of collagen powder, because we can get a bit of a blood sugar spike from orange juice and coconut water. So when we put something like collagen in the water, it prevents a blood sugar spike. So this is like it's called the adrenal cocktail. It's a drink that I teach my one-to-one clients. But even more foundational than that is adding minerals to your drinking water. Again, just like sleep and steps, being told to 10,000 steps every day, it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. Yes, we should be drinking 2 to 3 litres of water consistently every day, but when we used to drink water from springs when we were living in tribes, that water was packed with minerals from the rocks it was running over. And when we're drinking this supermarket bottled water, some of us can actually be dehydrating ourselves further because there's no minerals in the water, so it's flushing through the body and taking minerals with it. When we add minerals to water, and you don't need to go spending £40 on expensive electrolytes, you can if you want, but what I teach my clients is to get a good quality Celtic sea salt and just add a pinch of it to their bottle of water for the day or their glass, whatever they're drinking out of. And those minerals and a good quality like Celtic sea salt are like magnets. They pull the water, the fluid, into your cells and hydrate and plump your cells. And if you're going through periods of extreme stress or relative stress, you're going to burn through those minerals. That's when we feel fatigued, sugar cravings kicking, brain fog and foggy thinking. That's your body telling you it's depleted in minerals. So yeah, we want to be taking that good quality magnesium supplement every day, but we want to be mineralizing our water. It sounds so basic, but if we didn't consume water for 3 days, we'd die. This is how much the human body needs water, but it's understanding it's not just the quantity we're drinking, it's getting those minerals, because if you're a stressed individual, you're going to be burning them through. And when I get clients doing this, they're like, I go to the bathroom less. Of course you do, because you're not just passing that water's not just flushing through you, it's actually going into your cells and plumping out your cells, but you get much sharper brain clarity as well, and your energy levels are going to be a lot better. So mineralizing your water. And then the other one, of course, is protein. I was actually talking about this on my Instagram today. With protein for too long has been synonymous with gym goers. Or we just, it's just the gym goers, the keto dieters that focus on their protein. What's overlooked with protein is the amino acid profile that's in good quality protein, like pastured eggs, grass-fed meats, good quality like bone broths, good quality collagens, wild, not farmed fish. Those amino acids regulate cortisol, balance insulin, support energy, to speak about your periods, regulate male and female hormones. So what I say to clients is, we shouldn't be snacking. It dysregulates blood sugar. We should have 3 to 4 satiating, like good meals throughout the day and no snacking in between. That keeps our blood sugar nice and level. And I teach clients at each meal time to have between 30 to 40 grams of protein. So a woman wants to be eating at least 100 grams of good quality protein a day. And how to prep that, what I do, there are some days I have half an hour, I'll have consultations in all day, and the max time gap I might get between some of those consults is half an hour. And if I've got to prep all my food as well within that half an hour, I'm going to throw in that food down, which we know we're not going to absorb. We're not chewing our food properly. When we're not resting, we're not going to absorb our food properly. So I teach clients to prep batches of vegetables, batch cook boiled eggs, pieces of salmon, chicken, grass-fed meat in the fridge, and then build a meal. So if you're out on the road, just put it in a Tupperware box, or if I'm working from home, or when I get in of an evening, I call it a £1 wonder. I put all that in a pan, warm it up on the stove, always add olive oil, good quality olive oil will change your life. Add a tablespoon of good quality olive oil at the end and eat that. And it's understanding, just like we wouldn't expect a car to get from London to Scotland with an empty tank, the same applies to your body. And I don't believe in meal prepping. I think it's too time consuming for most people to individually prep meals. I know we got burst onto like the fitness scene about 5-10 years ago now. And also, the reason I don't recommend clients like prep individual meals is depending on where I am in my cycle, what type of movement I've done that day or lack of movement that day. What I consume for lunch one day might be significantly different between days, depending on the fuel needs of my body that day. So I can build a meal from that prepped protein. I always have like buckwheat quinoa cooked in the fridge. Sweet potatoes is one, something I'm loving at the moment, and obviously my vegetables as well. And I think that's understanding that we really, really need to fuel the body correctly. Hitting our protein goal is really, really fundamental to that. And not protein bars. They're just an ultra-processed food. They're one of the biggest cons that have come onto the healthy eating scene. And the reason people can eat 2, 3, 4, 5 of those protein bars and still feel unsatiated is because they are an ultra-processed food. So we don't produce any GLP-1 in the gut, so we don't get that hunger signal or appetite signal that we're actually full.
That's really interesting. Yeah. I mean, everything that you've just said, I have got a takeaway from all of it. So the first thing I just want to mention is I went through a period of buying electrolyte drinks, and I'm sharing an awful lot on this podcast episode, but I pee a lot. Like I would say every half hour I go to the toilet. And I noticed that when I started taking these electrolyte sachet drinks, I urinated much less. And I thought it's because my body is absorbing the water. Anyway, I Googled it, and Dr. Google said that that shouldn't happen. But I was pretty positive that there was a correlation
for it.
Yeah, exactly. By you confirming it, I know that I wasn't going insane. But you're right, it was very costly. And so I decided to instead have these, I think there's actually a name for it, but a drink with maple syrup, lemon juice, and cayenne pepper in. So I just have one of those, because I know that the maple syrup has got loads of minerals.
Minerals in it. More than honey, more than a good honey. Yeah,
I really enjoyed those, but I was finding that I was having too many of them in the day. I suppose I just have an addiction for maple syrup, and I realised that probably because I wasn't satisfied with the meals that I was having throughout the day, because I don't meal prep, and I'm at the office, and it's a bit like, what can I grab? Sometimes it would just be vegetable sticks and hummus and just probably something that's not substantial.
Yes.
By you kind of like talking about the food meal prepping, but not in the individual lunch boxes, it's kind of music to my ears, because, I do have the time to batch cook. It's essentially, just making one meal, but with bigger quantities, right?
Exactly this. Exactly.
Yeah, but what I really liked was that you said don't worry about putting them into, meals, because nobody has got space for all of those containers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I encourage clients to have cruciferous vegetables twice a day if they can, because they're really supportive of the liver, and we know the liver's our longevity organ. Every time I want 4 florets of broccoli, I don't want to be getting my steamer out, putting it on the hob. I would rather have a batch twice a week, Sunday and Wednesday, typically have that, and I just pull it. And if I'm going out on the road, it's going in a lunchbox for me. And if I'm making a dinner or a lunch at home, it goes in the pan. I warm it up with the other bits. An interesting take home as well is the order in which you eat your food balances blood sugar, which is so good for energy, decomposition, hormones. And it's as simple as fibre first, followed by your protein and your fats, then your starchy vegetables and complex carbs. The analogy I often use, if you're going to an Italian restaurant and you want a big bowl of spaghetti bolognese, I'm not going to say just eat the bolognese and the spaghetti separate, but what I'll say is like order a side of like broccoli, maybe some spinach, a little side salad, eat olives, even if you're at an Italian restaurant. Eat those as your fibre first, because when fibre goes into the gut first, it stabilises blood sugar. Then I would just say have a couple of mouthfuls of the bolognese, so that's like your protein, and then mix it all up and eat your spaghetti bolognese as you would. But you'll find you don't get an energy crash then, or a blood sugar crash. So you're going to feel much more satiated quicker, and you're not going to be reaching for sweet things or desserts afterwards. And I actually do that not just from like a body composition point of view, but the more we regulate blood sugar in the body, it's the key to maintaining our youth, our longevity, our youthfulness. When blood sugar goes up, it takes cortisol and inflammation up with it as well. So when we keep blood sugar nice and steady in the body, we're preventing an inflammation spike and a cortisol spike. And actually, when I start doing this with clients, it's so empowering, because if you're at a wedding, put a buffet on, you know, oh, I'm going to get something from that buffet. It's fibre, and eat that first, and I have my proteins and my fats, and then something starchy vegetables or carbs. And it's really interesting to see how people connecting to their hunger and appetite signals much better when they're eating food in that order. So obviously the bread basket isn't a no in the restaurant. Just don't eat the bread basket first. There's a reason restaurants put bread baskets on the table, because you're going to eat that on an empty stomach. Blood sugar is going to go through the roof, so you're going to eat more, and you're going to want dessert as well. Yeah. Keep it's nice quality bread. I'm a northern girl. I love a good piece of sourdough or a nice piece of bread. But what I'll do, I'll have it on the side with my main course. And if I want something to nibble on whilst I'm at the restaurant, I'll order like some olives or something to snack on. But day to day, just knowing you're stacking your lunch, breakfast, or your dinner, we want fibre first, proteins and fats, and then going on to your, like I say, your starchy veg or carbs. Like your focus, your energy nice and stable when you've got a lot of stress and work commitments going on.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's such an important message.
Yeah.
So talking now about kind of like how supplements and just diets and all that kind of stuff can help with personal relationships as well, and yes, mental health and physical health. How does physical well-being influence the quality of personal relationships, and what small daily habits can strengthen both? So I know you're very fit and healthy as well. You know, you do a lot of exercise, and yeah, I'd love to get your take on that.
Yeah, typical like daily habits for me that are like almost my non-negotiables. I think it will be really useful for the audience actually if I talk through the fundamental 5 so they understand exactly what that is. And I think that's in such an overwhelming world of supplementation at the moment, from NADs to NMN and everything we're being told to take. It's understanding that before we jump on any of those crazes, we need to get that foundation in place. So a daily habit, a daily non-negotiable for me is my fundamental 5, which is magnesium, as we've mentioned, the conductor of the orchestra. Arguably, before magnesium, the number 1 supplement we need to start with is omega-3. Omega-3 is an essential fatty acid. We call it an EFA. The clue's in the name. It's essential for human health. And the shocking statistic is 95% of the global population are deficient in omega-3. One of the main reasons being it's very deficient in our food chain, because the 2 main dietary sources are seaweed and algae. Like cultures like the UK, Dubai, where I spend a lot of time, so we don't eat a lot. We don't typically eat a lot of seaweed every day. And the second source is wild, oily fish. We have seen obviously explosion of fish farms, and majority of fish in our supermarkets being farmed, which unfortunately is one of the most toxic protein sources we can consume. And that's why, again, we're being misled around what are healthy foods, when fish coming out of fish farms, of antibiotics decides a lot of them are even developing mutations in the fish farms because the amount of chemicals, etc., that are being used in them. And they're actually omega-6 dominant farm fish, when what we want from fish is omega-3. And the reason omega-3 is so important is we have around 42 trillion cells in the human body, and each cell needs to be squishy and permeable, so nutrients from your food and your supplements can get in the cell and toxins can pass out. And when we get deficient in omega-3, that cell membrane goes hard and rigid. So nutrients can't get in the cell, then you're looking on a brick wall. So deficiencies go up, the root cause of all acute and chronic illness. And also toxins can't get out the cell, so toxic load and inflammation goes up. So we need to lubricate that cell with a good quality omega-3 supplement. And that's when I started my business 5 years ago. I actually sourced the world's purest omega-3 supplement, because the vast majority of omega-3 supplements out there, and I know this because I come from a manufacturing background with supplements, are highly toxic. They're, they're synthetically made in a lab. People get the fishy burps because their stomach can't absorb them. So the fundamental nutrient is omega-3. So we get our cells permeable and squishy so they can absorb nutrients and expel toxins. Number 2, as we mentioned, is the miracle mineral magnesium to support the nervous system. And I take that in the evening because I think it's really beneficial for sleep. The third one, this is very important for people living in the UK, is vitamin D. Bone health, good seasonal affective disorder that a lot of people get in winter just needs to be called vitamin D deficiency disorder. Like, that's all it is. So it's knowing that from October to March in the UK, even if we're blessed with a sunny day, like we kind of are in London today, the way the sun's rays, the latitude the sun's rays hit the earth, we cannot synthesize vitamin D from the sun. I still do my sunrise walk every single morning because sunrise going in the retina of the eyes regulates all our hormones, so it's still really beneficial. But from October to March, I'm not getting any vitamin D from the sun. So for me, throughout winter, it's 4,000 international units of vitamin D, and then from March to October, I typically drop to 2,000. The fourth one, and this links into your high-performing individuals especially, is B vitamins. B vitamins, think in your head, busy vitamins. Just like magnesium, when we are stressed, we burn B vitamins off in a nanosecond, and they're water-soluble vitamins, so we quickly secrete them from the body as well. And we need B vitamins to make energy. B vitamins and magnesium get in the cell together. They're like soulmates in the body, best mates, and they do what's called ATP energy production in the cell. So when we've not got enough B vitamins, magnesium can't make energy properly in the cell because it needs its friend, B vitamins, to do that. So B vitamins is number 4. And also knowing we must take methylated B vitamins. A lot of cheap B vitamins in the supermarkets on the high street are unmethylated. And that's why all the B vitamins on my website, we use the methylated form. And the 5th and final nutrient is a pre and probiotic for your gut. Your gut is the epicenter of your body. When your mum's egg gets fertilized, that cell, when you started, all humans start life form as that tiny microscopic cell getting fertilized, and the cell splits into 2. Half becomes your brain, half becomes your gut, which is why the gut to brain axis is so powerful, because that's how regardless of gender, that's how all human life form starts. 90% of our serotonin, our feel-good hormone, made in the gut, sent to the brain. A lot of our immune cells come from the gut, so we want to support the gut with a good pre and probiotic. So those are my fundamental 5 I take every single day to support a healthy body. And before you jump on collagen or NAD or even ashwagandha, get those foundational nutrients in place, because I often use the analogy that you can't build a beautiful house, i.e. your body, on sinking sand. So before we put that chandelier in the house, it's no good doing that if the house is on, the floor's going to fall through the house because it's built on sinking sand. So we need to get that solid foundation. So for me, it's a fundamental 5. And then the second one to that, and it's a process I take all my clients through, is breath work. We are the only species on the planet that don't know how to breathe properly. And I always say, after supplements, discovering breath work and how to breathe properly was the most transformative part of my journey. It's so empowering because to learn how to breathe properly is free, and we should actually be breathing in and out through the nose. The nose has got tiny hairs because we should be breathing out through the nose so we can filter the air. And when we breathe in and out through the nose, it activates the parasympathetic rest and digest system. As people are stressed, mouth breathing, working at the laptop, etc. in the day, you're just keeping your sympathetic fight or flight nervous system activated. So I take clients, I teach them how to nose breathe properly. It's like learning to drive a car initially. It all seems very like I've got to put the clutch in as I change the gear stick. Like you've got to really think about driving a car at first, and then over time it just becomes automatic. And that's like me now with nose breathing. When I was first told to do it, I remember the guy who was coaching me told me to put tape on my mouth while I was working at my laptop, and I thought I was going to suffocate. I was like, Stuart Sanderman, a gentleman that owns Breath Pod, I was like, sure, I can't do it. I actually feel like I'm going to suffocate. And over time, it was just practice, consistency. And now, before I go to bed at night, I put mouth tape on and I sleep the entire night. I wake up, it's still there in the morning. And obviously, I'm optimizing my breath throughout the evening. And then I naturally breathe like that in the day as well. And it's the best piece of advice I can give anyone is it's your life force energy, your breath. Like, learn how to breathe properly. And I say, no matter how busy life gets, I teach clients to do 3 minutes. If they're on a really, really tight schedule, just do 3 minutes of coherent breathing in the morning. That is enough to get you into your parasympathetic nervous system. And I actually encourage clients to do it 2 or 3 times throughout the day. You can just do it sat at your desk. And a great time to do it is before you eat, because we always want to be in our parasympathetic, not sympathetic nervous state when we eat. But really learning to focus on the breath. And when you're out walking, we should be breathing in and out through the nose and out through the mouth. And it's one of the most fundamental things we can do for managing stress in the body and supporting longevity.
I'm really happy that you brought that up, because I know that I struggle to breathe properly. First of all, because as you said, like, it's a very common thing to do. I just recognize that it's that working, and I can feel I'm not actually breathing with my lungs. It's such a shallow. Yeah.
And that's when we breathe to here, that's what can lead to an anxiety attack for a lot of people as well. I remember having a massage about 10 years ago, and the gentleman who did the massage said to me, Kate, you're panting like a dog. And I was in such a high stress job at the time. I was rushing for this massage, and it's like shallow breathing that just keeps us. As soon as we breathe deep into our belly, which especially as women, we're told not to do because we're always holding our stomach in. When we breathe deep, it's called the Buddha belly, into that activates the vagus nerve. So I'll say to some of my clients, when you're driving home after work, do it in the car. Whilst you're prepping dinner, do deep belly breaths, and I actually encourage clients to take pauses throughout the day if they're in the office to activate that breath. And there's something going viral on TikTok at the moment about the 3-minute breath, and it's literally, just reiterating what I've said, it's doing parasympathetic breathing for 3 minutes to get you back into a regulated nervous system. But this, with all the complicated health, everyone's jumping in the cryo chamber, an infrared sauna and a vibration plate, and these are all great, and I'll be really honest, I do them all. But before any of that, prioritize learning how to breathe properly. And it really is at the core of everything. And like I said, we are the only species on the planet that don't know how to breathe properly.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
Isn't it?
I suppose I think that's probably answered my next question, but I'll ask anyway, just because you keep throwing out so many like golden gems.
Oh, bless you.
As a business owner, how can leaders embed well-being into their organizational culture? But from what you said about
question.
Good, go for it. So I love it. Breathing kind of helps with that kind of stuff, and the supplements. But you're going to throw more at me. I love this.
I think there's like 2 things that organisations need to start looking at. I think now in numerology, we're moving into a 1 year, which is all about new beginnings. We've got the fire horse coming in as well this year. This is a real opportunity now for a whole new way of living. And I think and I'm trying to do this within my business with my team, this working 9 till 5 is such an old, outdated paradigm. I'm not interested in my team, whether they're working 40 hours or 4 hours. To me, it's about result, productivity, And it wasn't an overnight switch for me, but it's been an absolute game changer. I was brainwashed, being an inherent overworker, overgiver, that it was all about like overdoing all the time and working ridiculously long hours. And now I've got into a state where like, it's all about productivity for me, like really optimizing my body, my brain, so I can work really productively. And I actually practiced this when I was in Thailand, about 2023, I was in Thailand at a health retreat. And what I started doing was focused work blocks throughout the day. Whereas when I was doing those work blocks, I wasn't answering any WhatsApp messages or emails or social media notifications, and I'd be focused for around 50 minutes, like getting something done. And when I came back I was only in Dubai at the time. When I came back to Dubai, I brought that into my like my working week, and that's got to a point now where Friday for me is a reset day. I'm not doing like sat at my desk work, and it's a day where like I let myself reset. I go do a gym session, or do a walk on Hyde Park. If you'd have said that to me like 5 years ago, I would have said that's not possible. Friday, sometimes I'm working till 10 p.m, like getting some of the last deadlines of the week done. But by nourishing my vessel and my brain function, I've been able to get my body to this point where I'm being really, really productive. And I think if most workplaces were honest, the work people are producing that typical 40-hour work week, most people could do in 20 hours. If they were focused, if they weren't checking their social media and they were doing focused work blocks, we could halve the working week. And I think how corporations now need to really take some responsibility for this is encouraging wellness in the workplace, allowing people to have a slower morning, but still basing their working day on results, not hours spent in the office, and encouraging people on their lunch break. So many of my clients have a lunch break but just carry on working at their desk, to go and get some movement. We've been misguided around the 10,000 steps a day. If you're sat at your desk all day and when you get home in the evening you go and do 10,000 steps, you're still classed as sedentary. And it's not good for your body. But where the human body is designed for health is to gentle movement throughout the day. So I say to my clients, you're better doing 6,000 to 8,000 steps broken up throughout the day, so a morning walk, a lunch break walk, and an evening walk, than doing one 10,000 step walk at the end of the day. And actually having workplaces that encourage people to do this, because what I'm seeing, it's the workplace norm that everyone sits at the desk and just works through. And it definitely was when I was still in corporate, just works through and it's almost like, oh, you're leaving the office, are you? On your lunch break? It's almost looked down a bit when we need to build a new paradigm. And when I was at an event last week with Intelligent Change, so they're the company that brought out the 5-minute journal, and Alex, who's the co-founder of Intelligent Change, he guided us through a few pages of the Best Year Yet journal. And he played a poem in the room called My Last Breath. I'm actually getting goosebumps as I'm saying this. And time stood still in the room and you could feel the emotion, because that last breath will ultimately happen to all of us at one point. And no one sat there going, I wish I'd spent more time sat at my desk or replying to emails. Now, that's not being ignorant to the fact that those tasks still need to get done, but it's how we can be more productive and efficient in the workplace, that we're not having to be at the mercy of this outdated paradigm of 9 till 5 working days, because I really, really think that's so outdated now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I work in a law firm now, and I have a timer, so I know like what to bill. And it is funny to see like how much work I can get done by like not like stopping to look at my phone. Because when I'm at home, like on the weekend, working on the weekend, I'm probably not as strict with myself, and so the day can kind of go past and I think, oh, I probably could have got a little bit more kind of work done if I probably perhaps stopped looking at my phone as much. So yeah, I find it interesting that you say that, and I'm a big believer as well in getting up after about 25 minutes, 50 minutes and having a little walk around the office.
Your body, your lymphatic system needs that. And, even encouraging offices to put things like iris tech, so iris, IRIS tech on laptops and computers, because I've got this on my laptop now. It stops a blue glare. One of the reasons we're seeing the Alzheimer's and dementia statistics is because we are frying our brains every day with blue light. So, workplaces, again, taking responsibility for like blue light exposure in the office, things like that as well. And I really feel this 9 to 5 paradigm. I'm so focused and productive in the week because I don't want to sacrifice my Friday reset day. I love that day, and for me being quite a spiritual person as well, like Friday is the day of the goddess. And I feel like I really honor that by giving my time to like myself to reset. So I'm not doing what I used to do and using the weekend to recoup and rejuvenate. And then it's Monday again before I know it. I'm having that lovely reset day on Friday so I can really enjoy my weekend to the fullest. And I know Joe Wicks, who has the body coach business, a number of years ago now, he announced his team were being taken down to a Monday to Thursday working week. And that's my team. None of us work on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If we need each other, we're going to answer a message or an email, but we're working Monday to Thursday, and we have those the Friday, Saturday, Sunday of our own leisure.
I love that. And do you know what? I also love that, when we've been emailing to set this up, I think 9 times out of 10, I've received emails from you between like 6:30 in the morning and 7. And it's clear that you have like an email time. And it's really nice. It's nice to see somebody actually have that block of time where they're just emailing and then they're not looking at their phone again. And I think you're just such a great prime example of that.
Yeah, be responsive, not reactive. And again, that's key to productivity. If I'm constantly replying to every Instagram message as it comes through, or WhatsApp message or email, you're just chasing your tail all day. And it's like I say, I really had to practice this when I was at the health retreat in Thailand because I still had to get work done, but there's no point being at a health retreat if I'm just sat on a laptop all day. And it was sealed, those work blocks are really efficient. And again, it's interesting how people respond to you different. Like you've picked up on that. And I respect Kate because I can see she has a way of working that's like really efficient and really good.
Yeah, I think it just shows like you're a reliable person as well, because I kind of like I knew I would get that message at that time.
Yes, that's when Kate's going to be on and replying to emails, and I'm going to get that response when she's doing that, that email block. Yeah.
So the name of this show is Taking Care of Business, and so my last question to you, Kate, is what does it mean for you to take care of business?
Yeah, I think for me, the word, and it's actually my word of 2026, it's living in alignment each day with a sense of fulfillment and understanding that, like, I don't want to categorize like work as work, and that we spend about a third of our life, don't we, at work? To be like 8 hours a day, and I think for me, it's supporting my body and my team and my business so that work still is in alignment with me prioritizing my health and not sabotaging my health, and I get that sense of fulfillment every day. So I'm showing up in my work, my personal life, feeling fulfilled. And I think we talk about like doing all these health routines and habits, like the biohacking world has gone mental at the moment, and people are actually getting further and further away from honoring what brings them joy and fulfillment every day. And if I don't even like the word like routine, I'm like, do something that feels like a ritual that feels good, and bringing that into my daily life as much as I can. And it's something that I've been teaching one-to-one clients lately is we've been like brainwashed, I think, a bit around like having the perfect morning routine and the perfect evening routine. But what about the bit in between? Yeah. If the bit in between feels like chaos, it doesn't matter how perfect that meditation is in the morning or that breath work before you go to sleep at night, you're going to still be living from a state of high stress and dysregulation. So what I ask clients to do throughout the day is check in with themselves. When you have that 5-minute break from emails, typically mid-morning, midday, mid-afternoon, don't use it as 5 minutes to doom scroll on Instagram. Be present. Sit there with your coffee or your lemon and ginger tea, or take 5 minutes and 5 deep breaths outside. And I think it's understanding that whether it's work, personal life, I feel what a lot of people could really benefit from doing for 2026 and beyond is living more in the present. And there's that wonderful layout house saying if we live in the past, we live with depression. If we live in the future, which I think so many people are doing now, we live with anxiety. That's why anxiety is such a buzzword, because we're always living in the future and forward projection of where we need to be next and what we're going to be doing after that. But people who live in the present live at peace. And honestly, you go for lunch with friends who are present in the moment with you, the energy is so different. And I try and bring that into the workplace as well. So whether I'm at the gym, which is like a more personal like thing, or taking a walk on Hyde Park, or I'm at my laptop or in a meeting, presence to me is what really, really brings me that sense of fulfillment and calm within my nervous system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. It actually reminds me of a book that I'm reading by, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but Eckhart Tolle.
Yes, yeah. What book is it?
Yeah.
Oh, the Power of Now. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Power of Now.
Well, and I always say, being really transparent, we can take all the supplements in the world, but if we're constantly living a state of anxiety, and this was me to a T, I was probably like the textbook example of this, because I had a career over a decade of constantly having to go from appointment to appointment, driving 1,000 miles a week. Even when I was sat in that appointment, I was thinking, God, I hope this finishes in 10 minutes because I've got to leave for my next appointment, which is 2:30, which I don't want to be late for. So you're constantly living in that state of forward anxiety that is keeping your nervous system depleted. And your days go so much slower when you take yourself out of autopilot throughout the day and get into that present moment. And I call it the anchor. That anchor, I say to clients, we sometimes need something tangible for that anchor. So I will say to my clients, mid-morning, midday, and mid-afternoon, sometimes I say something tangible like a book, a drink, a lunch. Be present with that. Check in with yourself. Do 3 deep belly breaths. And I honestly think that the people at marketing this, because there's no money to be made from it. I can make money from selling an infrared sauna or a vagus nerve stimulator. But if I just tell you to take moments 3 times throughout the day to be really present with yourself, how am I going to make money out of that? When really this is one of the most transformative things people living in the modern world can do, especially bringing that into your working life as well. Really, really powerful.
Kate, this was such a fantastic episode. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I've loved it.
I'm so pleased. And yeah, thank you for all of your wisdom. Thank you for your time. Thank you for building up the knowledge in your life in order to share it on your platform. It is a fantastic platform, and you're obviously helping so many people live their best lives. And on behalf of all of those people, I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for everybody for tuning in to another episode of Taking Care of Business, and we'll see you back again here next time.